First tonight, concerns surrounding contraception in multiple states tonight. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost joining 19 other AGs to send this letter to Walgreens and CVS. Now, this is in opposition of the pharmaceutical companies offering abortion pills through the mail.
Now, Gwyneth Falloon has been following this story for us throughout the night. She is live in studio. And Gwen, what concerns were brought up in these letters?
Megan, in these letters, the Attorney General says they're concerned that abortion pills have greater risks than surgical abortions. They also say mailing abortion pills not only violates many states' laws, but also federal law.
Now, Gwen, I know you also spoke with a legal expert. What did he have to say about all this?
Yeah, that's right, Megan. I spoke with Thaddeus Hoffmeister with the University of Dayton earlier this afternoon, and he told me since state attorney generals are considered employees of the state, they should not be interpreting federal law.
They're federal United States attorney. It's the Federal Department of Justice. And if they would actually look at the opinion that was issued in December, it kind of breaks down the Comstock Act and how it's been interpreted by case law, by the courts over the past over 100 years. And they have a different take on that. It's based on case law. So really, the federal government should be interpreting federal laws. State employees like Attorney General Yost should interpret state laws.
Now, on a state level, Hoffmeister says states have the authority to make bans and believes conservative states will continue to do so. However, he says they cannot enforce federal law. Attorney General Yost's office sent us this statement saying, quote, "This is not about the law, or this is about the law, not politics. The president is not a member of Congress and cannot repeal the ban on shipping abortion pills through the mail." Ohio signed on to this letter because businesses need to understand there may be consequences under state and federal law, end quote. We're getting this statement after the Biden administration argued last month that the Postal Service can mail the pills to states where it's banned if the sender does not break the law.
Gwen, thanks. Well, if you can hold out just maybe 24, 48 more hours, we're going to warm up fairly well here,
yes,
relatively speaking.
Yeah, especially compared to tomorrow. Tomorrow, I've been talking about it for a while, coldest day of this week. It's going to be a chilly one for us. We're in the 30s right now. It's going to get colder overnight. It's going to stay colder as we head into the day tomorrow. Colder air is sliding in behind a cold front. We're sitting at 33 in Dayton, 32 in Troy, 31 in Sydney. Factoring in the wind, which we do have a little bit of a breeze out there, it does feel colder. We have wind chills in the teens and 20s. 17 is what it feels like up in Wapakoneta. Feels like 20 in Bell Fountain at this time. And the rest of the evening is going to get even colder. Waking up to teens, so kids will need to be bundled up at the bus stop in the morning. Back up to 20 as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So a cold one in the forecast, but I do have a warm up on the way, so I'll time it all out for you coming up.
Natalie, thanks. Governor DeWine and the Ohio Department of Medicaid are launching a new program to improve the health of mothers and infants. Melina Brown spoke with medical experts about the significance of having these types of programs available.
I'm told that this new program is vital for many people in the state, and it's extremely important that there are these programs because they cause incentives for hospitals to promote quality of care over quantity.
This is where we need to be tying reimbursement to. It's how well do I deliver care to you and to an entire population that I'm caring for, not how many patients can I get through my office in a day.
With Ohio having one of the highest infant mortality rates in the country, this new program aims to improve health conditions for families, mothers, and infants. And hospitals and practices that participate in this new program will be reimbursed through Medicaid. For Dayton 24/7 Now News, I'm Melina Brown.
Melina, thanks. Well, in a story you'll only see here, a Dayton family now suing Montgomery County Children's Services and Dayton Children's Hospital. Now, we've been following that story of the Brooks twins for more than a year. At 11 weeks old, they went into the foster care system after doctors at Dayton Children's reported signs of abuse. 11 months later, a judge ruled the children were not abused by their parents, and the family was reunited. The Brookses believe someone should be held accountable.
It's 5 parties that we're suing. And it's because they've all played a part. I feel like they need to be held accountable. And if nothing else comes from this lawsuit.
Now, the family is suing Dayton Children's and 2 doctors, along with Montgomery County Children's Services and the caseworker. Now, we spoke with the family and their attorney exclusively. You can hear what they had to say with the full story at our website, Dayton247now.com.
Live pictures over the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. tonight as lawmakers make another push to restore the pensions of salaried Delphi retirees. Now, this is the Susan Muffley Act. Representatives are reintroducing this bill that would recover the pension plans for more than 20,000 former employees. Their pensions were terminated in 2009 when General Motors declared bankruptcy.
There's a number of people who have just heart-wrenching stories of the impacts of losing these pensions that they earned and that they were entitled to. This is not a pension bailout. This is actually just restoring what they earned, and we're trying to make certain that that injustice is resolved.
Senate negotiations for the bill stalled back in December. Representative Turner is hoping that with bipartisan support, the bill can pass the House and Senate to be sent to the president's desk.
Live pictures over the Cincinnati skyline tonight. This says an arrest warrant has now been issued for Bengals running back Joe Mixon. Lydia Bice at the Now desk. Lydia, what exactly is he being accused of?
Well, he is accused of pointing a gun at a woman. He reportedly said, quote, "You should be popped in the face. I should shoot you now. The police can't get me." Police say it happened in downtown Cincinnati on January 21st, right before the Bengals played the Bills.
So has there been any word from Mixon on these allegations?
Yes, within the last couple of hours, NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero said that he spoke to Mixon's agent, who says the misdemeanor charge will be dropped Friday. He says, quote, "It was a rush to judgment. They're dropping the charges first thing in the morning. I really feel that police have an obligation before they file charges because of the damage that can be done to the person's reputation to do their work. They should be held to a higher standard because I don't play with people's lives." We'll continue updating this story both on air and online as we learn more. Back to you.
Lydia, thanks. President Biden met with the Congressional Black Caucus today to talk about police reform. The CBC had requested a meeting with the president after the death of Tyree Nichols. Memphis police officers brutally beat Nichols in January. He died from his injuries then 3 days later. Tonight, we've learned CBC leaders are pushing for changes at the national level. They want to explore what it's going to take to revive the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act on any level of reform.
My hope is this dark memory spurs some action that we've all been fighting for. We got to stay at it as long as it takes.
There's been a bipartisan push to reach an agreement, but those efforts stalled more than a year ago. President Biden signed an executive order last year, but it only applies to federal departments.
Live look at the U.S. Capitol building now, where House Republicans have voted to remove Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, that vote was mainly along party lines, followed a heated debate. Omar is one of the first 2 Muslim women ever elected to Congress and the very first to wear a hijab in the chamber. Now, Republican leaders say Omar was removed over her past comments that were critical of Israel, which they called anti-Semitic. Now, Omar has since apologized and defended herself today.
I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa. Is anyone surprised that I am being targeted?
Democrats call the move political revenge for stripping Republicans of committee assignments while they controlled the House, like Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar. They were removed from all committees last term. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, though, says it's not the same thing.
We're not removing her from other committees. We just do not believe when it comes to foreign affairs, especially the responsibility of that position around the world with the comments that you make. She shouldn't serve there. But this is what if it was tit for tat, we would have picked people, took them off all committees and said nothing about it. We don't believe in that.
McCarthy is working with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to form a group clarifying the rules and pass legislation for Congress to follow. The president holding a news conference today to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Family and Medical Leave Act. Now, there to join him, former President Bill Clinton. This was the first piece of legislation Clinton signed into law after he took office in 1993. FMLA guarantees many American workers up to 12 unpaid weeks off to recover from major illnesses, childbirth, or to take care of a sick family member. Biden tried to win paid leave for workers in 2021, but ultimately didn't get the support. He renewed that push today.
Meaning you can only take time to care for your loved one if you can afford to give up your salary. I remain committed to changing that and bringing it in line with every single other major economy in the world by passing a national program of paid leave and medical leave.
The president signed a memorandum today allowing federal workers to be able to take family or medical leave within their first year on the job.
A live look at our U.S. Capitol building now, where House Democrats took to the steps to reintroduce a bill. The Ensuring Women's Right to Reproductive Freedom Act would protect any pregnant woman who travels across state lines for legal abortions. This is directly in response to state bills allowing private citizens to sue out-of-state abortion physicians and also anyone who helps to get them across those state lines.
Congress has both the authority and the responsibility to protect people from these unconstitutional efforts to prevent, restrict, impede, or otherwise punish a person traveling to another state to obtain a legal abortion.
Now, again, it would also protect the providers and interstate commerce of FDA-approved abortion drugs.
Federal data is showing a positive side effect of the pandemic when it comes to employment opportunities for those with disabilities.
Brad Underwood has a look at the numbers.
In September 2022, U.S. Bureau of Labor statistics show 5.7 million disabled individuals ages 16 to 64 were employed. That represents a jump of about 500,000 jobs compared to September of 2021. Prior to the pandemic, job opportunities for people with disabilities were already rising, but as companies shifted work models towards remote, it meant more jobs for workers with disabilities.
That provides another opportunity for many workers with disabilities, especially if you have a mobility disability.
In Cincinnati, I'm Brad Underwood. Back to you.
Jobless aid filings fell last week to their lowest since April. So take a look at these numbers. It's all according to the Associated Press. There were 183,000 new applications for the final full week of January. That was a decline of 3,000 from the week before. This was also the third consecutive week the number of filings was below 200,000. Finance experts say the labor market is proving to be resilient despite concerns of a recession and hike from the Federal Reserve.
And the point of that action is to try to slow the economy down, slow demand down a bit. But if demand needs to be met by people producing something and labor is involved in that production, we would expect that the labor market would start to soften, and that is not what we're seeing.
Now keep in mind, this is just one data point. Guernsey says it's to look out for the new unemployment rate, which is scheduled to be released next Friday.
New video out of Las Vegas tonight shows the moment a man was saved from a car just before it caught fire ahead. We hear from the Good Samaritan who helped to pull him to safety.
Plus, a woman is facing charges for scamming brides all around the state. Tonight, we break down where those scams took place and how much money she's accused of taking.
And even colder air is going to be sliding its way in. I'll let you know how cold we'll get. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
It's like a scene out of a movie. An officer and a tourist racing to rescue a man trapped in his car before it catches fire. So take a look at the moments that they were able to get him out.
Get a hold of it. Come here. Come on. Come on. I want to push you. Here. Come here. Drag him. Drag him.
Incredible. The tourist, Justin Mauser, was visiting Las Vegas with his wife at the time. He says they saw the white BMW slam into the median and hit a palm tree in the middle of the strip. As the officer ran over to respond to the crash, he told everyone to stay back. However, Mauser says that he had selective hearing.
And I don't hear very well, or sometimes act like I don't. So maybe I probably should have listened to him, but I tried to help.
I think it was awesome that he stayed. I pushed a lot of them back just to make sure the scene was safe.
Now, the driver who was pulled from the car is facing DUI charges. He was taken to the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery.
Last year, 2 Columbus police officers were arrested after being accused of distributing fentanyl. Now, one of them is learning their prison sentence. 45-year-old Marco Marino will spend 9 years in prison for trafficking fentanyl and accepting bribes. Court documents show he conspired with John Kuchkowski, another officer, to sell the drug. Kuchkowski pled guilty to drug distribution charges last year.
We got a cold front making its way in. This is going to drop our temperatures even more. It was chilly today. It's going to be even colder for tomorrow. Cold front pushing through, bringing some clouds into the area as well as a few flurries. We have some light snow off to the north, light snow showers to a couple of flurries overnight, not anticipating accumulation, but temperature wise, it will be falling into the teens as you wake up tomorrow morning. Wind chills, they'll be in the single digits. Heading into our Friday afternoon, hanging out in the teens and 20s. Again, wind chills in the teens throughout the day. And then heading into our Saturday, cold start, but we do manage to warm up into the upper 30s, right around 40 degrees. And temperatures are going to be climbing even more as we head into next week. I'll talk about that coming up in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. Dozens of brides are furious after being stood up by their florist. Desiree Pace in Hamilton County Justice Center tonight accused of taking their money and never delivering the flowers. She's been arrested before for doing the same thing here in the Miami Valley. Luke Jones has an update.
When it comes to bringing the goods, prosecutors say this florist is a shrinking violet. Monday, Desiree Pace was arrested once again after prosecutors say her company, Flowers by Des, failed to deliver. Wedding planner Angela Lemke says 4 of her brides hired Flowers by Des, but when the first wedding rolled around in 2021, she says they were deserted by Des.
Flowers by Des just didn't show up. They were never there. We never got a call, a cancellation, anything else.
That year, the Ohio Attorney General sued Pace. She was ordered to pay $100,000 in restitution and penalties and to stop doing business. The Hamilton County charges all relate to things she's accused of doing between 2019 and 2021. Prosecutors say she cheated 28 people out of a combined $31,000.
What it looks like she was doing is she was using a bride who paid her deposit to pay for the wedding that she had currently. And eventually that's going to run out. And I think that's what happened.
In Cincinnati, I'm Luke Jones.
All right, well, it is Groundhog Day, and the famous Puxatawny Phil has made his prediction.
I see a shadow on my stage. And so, no matter how you measure, it's 6 more weeks of winter weather.
Every year, a big crowd gathers at Gobbler's Knob in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania. That's about 80 miles from Pittsburgh. The tradition is that if Phil sees his shadow, there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. If not, spring is on the way. So we wanted to know what you think of Puxatawny Phil's prediction. Timothy Boyd was out and about tonight, hit the streets. What do people tell you?
Yeah, well, it was cold out there, so people are already dealing with this, and they don't want to deal with it even more. So I wouldn't necessarily say they were upset, but they weren't really happy about it either. Take a look.
Well, my dog likes cold weather, so that doesn't bother me so much, but I'm sure a lot of other people are pretty unhappy about it. We'd all really kind of like a little bit of spring right now.
Thanks to the groundhog, we're still going to have 6 more weeks of cold weather. And I was kind of hoping for the best myself, get rid of my nice big overcoat here. But as you can see, I'm dressed for it. Good cup of Speedway coffee here, and just enjoying the afternoon.
Puxatawny Phil has been around for quite some time. He has forecasted 108 longer winters and only 20 early springs. Since 1969, his accuracy is only at about 39%, so we won't hold it against him. He is a groundhog. Meteorological spring, though, starting March 1st, and we can expect our spring equinox, the actual start of spring, on March 20th.
All right, thanks, Tim. Well, if you don't trust Phil, how about a second opinion? Walnut the hedgehog saw her shadow this morning at the Boonshop Museum of Discovery in Dayton, predicting our area will also stay chilly before it warms up. This was her inaugural prediction.
Oh, man. See, this is why we trust Natalie and Tim to deliver us what the real forecast is going to be. That's a live look from our Eco Plumber Sky Camp tonight. You can't tell by looking, but it is freezing, and we got another day or so of this before things warm up a little bit.
That's right. It's getting even colder out here. Temperatures are falling as we speak. But I do have some warmer weather on the way, which is
we'd
good
love
news.
to see, yeah.
Yeah, we know Phil said 6 more weeks of winter, but we actually do have a warming trend once we get through tonight and tomorrow. I will say it's certainly getting cold out here. The wind and that wind chill's picking up. But in the longer term, Climate Prediction Center indicating above normal temperatures looking very likely into next week. This is from February 8th to 12th. But by this weekend, in fact, we will start to see those temperatures really begin to climb. Here's a look at what we're talking about. So 20s tomorrow, but back into our next week, back into the 50s. So it's going to be very mild. We got some rain on the way, so I'll have a look at that 7-day coming up.
All right, thanks, Natalie. Join us this Saturday on ABC 22 for a Dayton 24/7 Now special presentation. Sister Blandina Segale, a Cincinnati saint. Follow the dusty trail from Cincinnati to the Wild West as the fearless nun encountered outlaws and injustice. We highlight the life and legacy of the local sister who's now being considered for sainthood. That's this Saturday at 7 p.m. on ABC 22. City leaders and coaches gathering to honor female athletes tonight. The message they had about the importance of teamwork. You're watching Dayton 24/7 Now. Dayton Public Schools held a panel discussion tonight on women in sports. The panel discussion was focused on telling the personal stories of female athletes and their journey behind the jersey. Former athletes, coaches, and city leaders led the conversation to honor the athletes' achievements and inspire them to never give up. UD women's head basketball coach says it's about not being just a good player, but a good teammate.
Everybody wants to play sports. You have women who play sports, young girls who play sports for the love and passion, and they might not be as talented. But the lessons and the character that are built playing any game or playing and being a part of any sport are lifelong lessons.
Now, she also says the personal stories help to inspire and teach women of all ages new lessons.
Governor Mike DeWine announcing a fourth round of money for Ohio schools as part of his K-12 school safety grant program to help improve physical security by paying for things like security cameras, automatic door locks, and better lighting. Every county in the area is getting a big chunk of that money, and you can view that entire list of schools receiving it on our website, Dayton247now.com.
A story now from our partners at the Dayton Business Journal. A Dayton auto dealership that's been around for decades has a new owner with strong local ties. Kentucky-based Martin Management acquired Dayton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, for $7.5 million. That's according to county records. Now, Martin Management, a black family-owned auto dealership, also has local dealerships including Subaru of Dayton, Kia of Dayton, and Kia of Beaver Creek. Now, since being founded in 1985, that company has grown to $76 million in annual revenue with nearly 450 employees nationwide. And we have all the details for you right now on Dayton247now.com. You can find this story plus others like it under the Dayton Business Journal heading in the News tab. You're watching Dayton 24/7 Now.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Well, the title of World's Oldest Dog is leaving the Miami Valley just weeks after announcing Spike as the world's oldest living dog. Guinness World Records says it's received evidence that there is a dog that's even older. Bobby was born May of 1992. That makes him 30. Spike, who lives in Preble County, just 23.
Powerball jackpot now up to about $700 million after knowing Matt